Good morning, everybody. It's a gorgeous day in June. I can't believe we're up to the middle of June already. Summer's here and I love it. And one of my favorite guys, Nick O'Sullivan of Brothers Barbecue, is here with me because that means in a few weeks our HOA has its annual, I guess it's the annual Brothers Barbecue summer party. I'm the hostess of the best party in town. I'll do anything. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning, Gabby. Nice to see you again.
You too. I don't know whether this is our fourth or fifth year, whatever, in a row. And our building wants nobody else but Brothers Barbecue. And I might add, Nugs ice cream.
Yes, we're the killer combo there,
And you do
especially when
the,
you get both back to back, you know?
well, you do the best job. It's unbelievable. Your catering.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a huge part of our business, and after I think it was after about year 10, maybe in year 15, somewhere in there, we actually got a facility that just handles catering because it has become such a big part of our business that it required that to do it properly. And we used to do it out of the stores, and then people would come in the morning to get a sandwich, and it would take a half hour because we were cooking, a 300 person catering job at the same time, and we're trying to, get little orders out, and we're like, obviously like in a time crunch, and so we recognize that to do this properly and to take care of our store customers. It's best to have it at a off-site facility where we can handle everything, and we have an office there and all of our vans and the equipment and everything we need for catering. So it's a whole big operation.
Well, you do a remarkable job because they deliver and you have the sterno, so you don't have to have anything here. They set it up down to spoons and forks and telling everybody what it is. And before you go into it, Nugs comes later to our house because there's quite a few people and brings the whole dessert bit in so that it doesn't get bad. You go.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been fun to kind of combine those two passions of ours, barbecue and ice cream. And um, Nugs has been it just turned 11 years old, which is crazy.
Oh, God.
And my oldest daughter Sadie was born in January of 14, and we opened up Nugs in May of 14. So I can always remember, if I know how old my daughter is, I know how old Nugs is.
You better.
But it's
Well,
been a fun journey doing that as well. And brother's now with 27 years, which is crazy. And it was great seeing you and Bill and John for dinner on Monday night at the original store on Monaco and Leetsdale, and a lot of memories there. And it was just a
it
blast
was
from the past.
it really was fun. If somebody doesn't know, Bill St. John and I, 27 years ago, Bill did the write up, I did the TV and radio. And that's, I guess, right like a week, it was down the block from both of our houses. And then Henry,
Yeah,
of course, was always, and his pies were always in the business. So we go to fun places on Monday. But this one was our special spot because of
yeah,
you in 27. And we usually go to 6th in Washington, but here we were. Okay, you take it. This is
yeah.
not about me.
Yeah, so just gearing up for Father's Day. This is a special one for us this year. We lost our father April 28th. My brother and I's father, Timo, passed away.
Oh,
And without him, there wouldn't be Brothers Barbecue. I mean, he took a chance on, you know, I was barely 20 years old and my brother was 22, and he had sold he used to be into motorcycle racing, and he had these old vintage race bikes, and he sold a couple of those to give us our startup money. and
Oh,
he said, here's your college money and your inheritance, so don't squander it, you know. And we had to make it work. And I think the other key to our success was that we didn't have a backup plan. It was like either you do this and you succeed, or you got to go to work for somebody else, which wasn't something that either of us were interested in, or at that time probably even capable of. I mean, I'd been a busboy a few times at like places like Josephina's and Larimer Square, and
oh God.
like but that wasn't what I envisioned for a career. So luckily and he would call us every day and he'd say, what's the number? What'd you guys do in sales? And what did you pay the sales tax? And did you do this and you do that? And but he didn't micromanage us, and he could see us making mistakes, and he allowed us to do that. So we would learn. And he was a really good, successful businessman in his own right. He had done lots of things. He grew up, in council housing, which is like sort of project housing in England, in post World War Britain, with just like a one-bedroom house with his sister and his parents, poor. And he he he's still there.
Yeah, I'm here. Go ahead.
Okay, sorry, my phone acted weird there for a second. But he went to the Air Force and became a really successful guy, and it opened up MRI imaging centers, and he'd run a Grand Prix motorcycle race team and ran
Oh,
some Ferrari dealerships. And he did some amazing things and taught us a lot about how to run businesses and how to manage people and all those things. And he was instrumental. Absolutely. Without him, there's no way, brothers exist. So, it's bittersweet. We will always have great memories of our dad, and we'll miss him very dearly. But, so Father's Day will be a special one this year. And luckily, I'll have my daughters to cheer me up. So it'll be
oh,
good.
I did not know that story. But going with it, how did you and Chris decide on barbecue? You know, I want to start a business. Why a barbecue?
Yeah. I mean, it was with barbecue, it was really just, it was our, it was like an obsession. It
Oh,
wasn't like we decided like we're going to get into the restaurant business. What should we do? It was just like, we became obsessed with barbecue from the first time we tried it. And then we found that little place on Monaco and Leedsdale, and, just kind
little
of
is
figured out that,
right.
yeah, it was about 900 square feet. And we thought, this is perfect. We didn't know anything about business. We didn't know anything about restaurants. I remember when Bill came and reviewed us, it wasn't like I knew that people got restaurant reviews, but I didn't really ever consider that somebody would come and review us. I didn't ever consider that like, oh, we better be ready for these people that are going to come and try our food and write about it. It just didn't cross my mind. It wasn't like, something that was on my radar. So when he came in and ordered a little bit of everything, I thought that was a little strange. He's like, I want to try everything. And it was a snowy night, I remember. And he pulled up in this old um, Mercedes. It was like this vintage old Mercedes. And I'm a car guy. So I was like, oh, that's a cool old car. And then he called later on and said, hey, this is Bill St. John. And I was like, oh yeah, I remember you. How was the barbecue? And he said, it was really good. I want to write a story about it. And I thought, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, why would you do that? You know, and then he wrote about us and gave us that review when he worked at Microsoft back in the day. It was like sidewalk.com. And at the time, I didn't even have an email address. This is 1998. I didn't know anything about, I graduated high school in 95, and I just kind of missed, we were still writing papers on like typewriters and stuff. And, it kind of took off from there. And then we quickly realized like, oh, then, we started getting busy because people said, oh, I heard you on this and I heard you on that. And so we pretty quickly realized that these things are important for business, and we better like, but I think the one thing that I always take back from that too, I remember when Bill came in, it was like a snowy night, and Chris and I were sitting there at work and we were dead. Like nobody had come in for like an hour or two. And I was like, should we close? And, my brother and I were talking about it. And he said, no, we'll stay open. Like, what else are we going to do? So, I always tell my staff, I'm like, you got to stay open even on these snowy nights. And that's why we're always open, because you just never know who might come through that door. And
You know what?
if we had closed early that night, who knows, maybe we don't get a write up. Maybe, you don't discover us. Maybe, just that helped us really get our start.
You know, that's such an important thing that you just said, because I've heard lately when the bosses are away, the staff a few times, I did understand these people got fired, actually closed because they didn't want to work so hard. And the
Yeah,
integrity of
we've
being a
experienced that.
business, you have to do what it says, or you lose.
Right. We say we're open every day from 10 to 10. So I tell my staff, I'm like, even if, it's 10, if it's 9:59 and somebody comes in and they want to eat there, you can let them eat there. And I remember when we first opened, we'd be closing. I can remember a handful of times being in the parking lot when people pulled up and they're like, all right, you want something? I can make you something, and I'll open the store back up for them. It's
Good
like,
for
I have
you.
barbecue and you want to spend money and give it to me? Like, that's what I do, right? This is what we do. And it's nothing more annoying to me. There's been some places that I won't mention that I used to go to, and then you show up and it's like 20 minutes before they're due to close, and they're like,
Exactly.
sorry, we're closing in 20 minutes. And I'm like, well, I want to eat dinner. Can I? And they're like,
No,
well, we're closing.
yeah, because I
And I'm like,
scratched
okay,
this
so that's a no.
that's it. Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, like, okay, that's fine. I'll take my business elsewhere. And
And I'm not coming
sorry,
back.
like,
No. Well,
yeah.
I mean, I
And so
hope
I tell,
everybody
we're
watches
always,
because it's so true.
yeah,
And you had, well, I mean, the first thing Bill said to me, because I come all the time, and he comes, but not as often. Do they still have bird cans? He went through that plate of bird cans. I don't think he ever even offered any of us a taste. But and Hinman loves chicken and the chicken sandwiches and the pork ribs. Everybody, my favorite is the bang sandwich. You know, you have everything and
yeah,
there's something for everyone.
yeah, yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, we try and do a little bit of everything, and but we pretty much kept the menu the same since the day we opened. We've added a few items, but we're a traditional barbecue place that just does a few things really well. And for 27 years we've been cranking it out, and it's been a lot of fun. The journey continues, and we hope to just keep going. I don't know if there's what's next, and we've
Just support
managed to
the
kind of.
barbecue, please.
Yeah, yeah. I
Well,
think, a
and
lot of places to try and do, there's lots. I think since we've opened, I can't even put into numbers. I'm guessing there's been 500 barbecue places that have come and
oh,
gone, or places that, so we're just kind of like the little engine that could, and it's by paying attention to the details, like you mentioned with our catering. Um, you can have I tell our staff, I'm like, somebody could come in for ribs and can have the best ribs they've ever had, the best service they've ever had. The place could look great and everything's perfect. But if they go to get a toothpick when they're leaving and we're out of toothpicks, they'll remember that.
true.
Those are the details, or the wet naps, the toothpicks, the little things, those are the little touches that people remember. And as my dad used to say, the devil's in the details.
That
So,
is right.
you know,
Absolutely. But one thing,
and
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I was just, I don't want, one thing you have added, I don't want it, but you have been very nice for people who are vegan and that, because you added tofu. You always had other things so that even my vegan friends can come there.
Yeah, and our mother, who's a
Well, that's
lifelong
the other one,
vegetarian.
yes.
I think that's part of the reason we fell in love with barbecue, is because my mom never fed us meat, and then when I was able to find some places where I could go, I was working at a machine shop, and across the street was a barbecue place, and that's where I first found it. And when I was like 15, and then we like fell in love with it. We were like, oh man, this is amazing. And I think, not having it growing up made it even more special to us. And, me and my brother got obsessed and had to figure out how we can make this, and how do you make sauce, and how do you make, these all these dishes. And then that was the genesis of it.
Well, you've done a great job, and we talked about catering, but I also have to add, eat dining in is great, but if you're getting carry out, it's one of the few places that nobody has ever messed up. You order carry out and you get home and this is missing and this is missing, and you're not going to
Yes.
go back. And you
Yeah.
don't, and most people like me don't check it before I
Yep.
leave. And
Yeah,
you
we have our staff double check everything and just make sure, because that's my experience too. Nothing's more annoying than paying for something and not getting it. So
even
we
wanting
make
it.
sure that. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we're the takeout will be really busy on Sunday with Father's Day. It's a perfect food for dad. Nothing's better than a slab of ribs for dad on Father's Day. So we get a lot of people coming in and doing takeout orders, and call ahead if you can, or order online. We have, everything is integrated these days. We have from your cell phone, you can press a few buttons and have it delivered to your house. You can have it ready for pickup. At all the we're in, the DoorDash and the Uber Eats and all those things. And then, or you can go directly from our website, brothersbbq.com. And,
Now, are you
it'll,
open like on the 4th of July too?
we're open every day of the year except Christmas. The
Okay,
4th of
well,
July is our busiest, probably our busiest day overall of the year, is usually either Father's Day or 4th of July. The Super Bowl is really busy for a few hours, from open till the kickoff of the game, and especially if the Broncos are in there,
sure.
or your Chiefs.
My Chiefs they got there, but they didn't win this year.
I know.
Okay.
Um, that's all right. They've done
Uh,
pretty well recently.
And the Broncos
So
didn't get there. I love the Broncos, but
yeah, we're on our way up. The Broncos are on our way up. We're we're
yeah,
we're going to be good here, I think, in the next few years. So,
I'm not
but
betting on
yeah,
any of them.
yeah,
I'll
we're
bet
open. Even on Thanksgiving, and we talk about that every year. We do our smoked turkeys, and we're open on Thanksgiving Day for till I think 2 o'clock, so people can pick up smoked turkeys. And the one day we take off is Christmas, and other than that, we're open every day 10 to 10.
okay, but on like 4th of July or any of those days, somebody could come and eat there as well as carry out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. All the dining rooms will be open. Monaco and Leedsdale, 6 in Washington, I-25 in Arapahoe, Broomfield, First in Wadsworth, and our new location up in Fort Collins
Well,
on
most of the new ones
Mulberry.
even have patios now.
Yes, yeah. The only one that doesn't have a patio is our original, because it's too
Well,
little.
I don't know where you put it.
Yeah, there's no place for it. We thought about it, but it was like, where we could maybe fit one little table out in the front there, but it wouldn't make much of a patio.
Oh, before we go, I do have to say the French fries. Now, you saw three people who had no idea. I was one of them. Just
Yeah,
died in. Oh, wow.
yeah, definitely for dine in. French fries. If you get takeout and you eat them in the car, they're still good. But I think French fries right out of the fryer is the best way to eat them. When they're still hot and crispy. And yeah, we have great French fries. All of our
Oh,
sides are really delicious. Our beans and coleslaw, potato salad, they're all old recipes that we've kind of been, they've been locked in place for the last decade at least. But it took us a while to get it to where
yeah.
they don't just taste like they're out of a can or just out of a, we actually make everything. We put big chunks of smoked pulled pork in the beans, and um, that we pay attention to all the little details. So there's a lot of barbecue places you go and the sides are kind of an afterthought, or there's places that I've been in the South that don't even offer sides, which are some of my favorite barbecue places. Actually, there's a place called Dreamland Barbecue in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and the only thing you can get is ribs and white bread, and it's great.
Oh, God, that's a riot.
It's amazing. Yeah, they have a sign up that says like no beans, no coleslaw, don't ask.
Oh,
And
is
it's
that?
just like you either order a slab or a half slab, and you get like a stack of white bread and a styrofoam cup with some sauce in it, and you sit at these like picnic tables, and
Oh, wow.
that's the original one. The original one. I think there's a couple other ones in different parts of Alabama that have expanded their menu, but the original one just serves ribs, and it's amazing.
I'm staying here in Colorado with brothers. Sorry about that.
Why would you go anywhere else? It's beautiful here.
I love it. Love you, love brothers, and I'm perfectly happy every time I go there. And we just get this urge. We gotta have one. It's
Yeah. Thank you so
and
much.
and thanks for putting little cartons of nugs at
Yeah.
Brothers. I don't always have to go to nugs, even though I like to, because well,
Yes.
him and St. John and I fight over the flavors at nugs. So
Yeah.
we can't fight as much.
Yeah. Yeah. Nugs is a lot of fun, and we've been really busy there too. And we'll be open there for Father's Day. So go to Brothers, get your barbecue, and then hit Nugs after that for get dad an ice cream cone, and tell your dad you love him if he's
Oh,
still around. Because I'm grateful that I told my dad I loved him every time I talked to him, and nothing was
well,
left
you're gonna
unsaid
make me
between
cry.
us.
Do a
Oh,
barbecue story and cry. That's great. No, good. God bless you. Good for you. Okay, before I get
yeah,
too emotional that I can't talk, tell us how to get to Brothers stuff and Nug stuff.
yeah. BrothersBBQ.com, NugsIceCream.com. That has everything. Nugs only has one location. It's just on East Colfax between Colorado Boulevard and Monaco Parkway. Colfax and Fairfax. So
Right,
it's across from the Marzics there. It's on Fax and Fax is an easy way to remember it. And then the six stores plus the airport location plus catering. Um, so that with Brothers, there's lots of different places to get it depending on what part of town you're in, and all that is listed at brothersbbq.com. So
and
um,
wherever you live, the people, the staff is incredible, and so is the barbecues.
yeah,
Please
we're
like
we're
and
so blessed to have.
yes, you are
Real quick, I would just like to say that you know, thank you so much to our staff and to the
absolutely.
hardworking,
I agree.
talented people that do the grind every single day. I know I used to do that, and it's a lot of work, and you have to have passion for it to do it. And those guys do.
And you walk in there, and they are so happy and so darling. I mean, they could be really mad, not care about whoever's walking in, but you would never know it. They do a
Yeah, you can't fake that for too long. That's one thing I've learned. Like, we've hired people that are good in interviews and good for a week, and then that bad attitude comes out, and you're like, you probably aren't cut out for the service industry. You have to actually enjoy making people happy to be good at it. And
absolutely.
we found people that do like making people happy, and that's our job. Is when people come in and they're having a tough day, it's like let's turn their day around for them and give them a delicious meal.
Somebody asked me, "What's your favorite restaurant?" I said, "The last place I ate where they were really nice to me and we had a good time," because
Yeah.
that counts just as much as anything. You want
Yeah, and
good
there's an
food.
energy, that translates to food. Even when you're cooking, if you're in a bad mood and you make something to eat, it doesn't taste as good as if you're in a good mood.
If I made
And
it, it
you
wouldn't
could,
matter.
but there's an energy that you put into everything you do, and it's like an art form. And when like, if I go into one of my restaurants and the kitchen staff is off, I'm like, uh-oh, like I can just tell there's going to be something going on. So it's just one of those things. Like you learn to tune in after a while. So we want to make sure that we also create an environment for people to work in that's fun, and we treat our guys really well, and give them the tools they need to be successful.
And you do. To everyone, please like and subscribe to the Gabb, GABB /Gabby Gourmet on YouTube, where you'll see this. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, Gabby Gourmet. And yes, you'll see me at Brothers. And Nick, I did hear stories about your dad that I always knew about him, but not all the stories. Thank you for sharing. And bless him for making two boys as wonderful as you, raising them. And thank you, and Nick, and Chris, and everyone for being there all the time. Happy Father's Day to you, to everybody who's watching. And I'm not going to cry because it's a beautiful story. And I
Thanks,
love
Gabby.
BBQue, and I can't cry into a rib.
God
Have a
bless. Thanks so much.
much love. Have a great
Happy
day.
Father's Day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye bye, dear.